of those questions that leads to a deep, grand philosophical debate about Black struggles. It's not one that requires a complex answer. In fact, it's a simple yes or no question. Did we love Freddie Gray before his name appeared behind a hashtag? Maybe if we are in denial, we can answer quickly and answer yes. However, if we are honest with ourselves, we will find that with some self-reflection, the answer may not be as progressive as we may want to believe. Of course, someone loved Freddie. I've marched alongside his cousins, his neighbors, his family, his community, just like people love Rakia, Mike, Renisha, Eric, Trayvon, and Sean, and countless others, but did we? And with this question, we are forced to confront a reality that most choose to ignore, but many of us live daily. Black lives only seem to matter if they exist within the realms of what is seen as acceptable. And if those lives fall outside of that framework if those lives fall outside of that framework, only their deaths matter. However, we will find that no Black life falls into that box of acceptance, which is probably why their life was taken in the first place. And if we can move forward accepting that is a true statement, then it is logical to conclude that in the status quo, only Black deaths matter. And if you disagree, answer these questions. Do we love Black dope boys? Do we love Black trans people in our communities? Do we love Black girls working in the strip club to get by? Do we love homeless handicapped men on our streets? Do we love Black pregnant teenage girls? Do we love Black queer bodies? Do we love the way they love? Do we respect their identities? Do we love the people who fall in the intersections of all of these experiences? Do we love Antonio, Sequoia, Seth, Chance, Maria, Destiny, Morgan, Hayden, Sydney, Marquise? Do you love Cabrin, Rel, DeAndre, Jaquan, Kai? Did you love Arnisha? Do you even know her name? Did you love Tyrone? Are we willing to embrace their struggles? If the answer was no, then can we really say that Black lives matter if they don't matter to us while we constantly relegate them to the footnotes of our lives? Is it that we as a society are only capable of loving Black death? Is that why we become spectacles? Is that why when Black girls and Black boys took to the streets of Baltimore, you sat and watched on the television, feeding off of the Black struggles that were before you? Is that why you cried? Because you sympathize with us? Because you understand what it feels like to feel pain like this? Is that why you were so moved that you decided to join protests and override the voices of the Black youth that were attempting to fight for their own lives? Because truly, you can't say Black lives matter, that excludes our voices. And you see, we Black kids have a new way of running this revolution. We don't sit down, we climb up. We march through. We do it in the name of love, for the love that is behind us and never for the hatred in front of us. We were taught by poets like Suni Patterson, who told us to proceed with only 4 words: bring back Black love. We know what it means for Black lives to matter. We know that Black lives matter doesn't only mean Black lives matter when that Black life was a man shot down by a white police officer. No. Black lives matter even when you are a 16-year-old girl who was brutally murdered at the hands of 2 men her same skin color. You see, our movement doesn't allow for you to just call that Black on Black crime and keep it moving, no, because Arnisha's life mattered too. And while we're on the subject of this Black on Black crime shit, it's not the issue that Black people own guns, because Black people, like any other people, have the right and obligation to protect themselves and their communities. It's just that we don't know who the enemy is, and that's the problem. And maybe that says a little something about our educational system, but that's an entirely different conversation. This hashtag BLM movement, we respect fluidity, and not just in our methodologies. You see, when you live in a world that is in no way conducive to your life, every second breathing is a moment of resistance. That's why some of us call ourselves black girls and black boys and black kids from the future, because we're constantly transcending systems made to kill us. I have already survived. Afrofuturistic affairs, where black girls are climbing flagpoles, where six-year-old black girls are seen proudly standing out of their daddy's sunroofs, adorning their crown of puffballs with their black power fists in the air, while black girls, in the middle of protests, take time to twerk to the beats of their peers chanting, where black strippers run down Baltimore Street to jump on the hood of a car, singles pasted to their thighs by their fishnets to join in and say, all night, all day, we will fight for Freddie Gray. And if you don't get the power of these images, then you really don't know what it means for black lives to matter. You see, we are not your respectable Negroes, and neither is our revolution. We've been code switching like your new iPhone 6 since before it was cool to be an Apple consumer and critique capitalism at the same time. Because we know that creating black transient zones of freedom and residence matter. We've been making superheroes out of what you call disposable urban populations, because making and surviving in black futures where we were written out of white ones matter. We tell stories like the one I just told of girls twerking and strippers chanting, because we are modern griots. Our hieroglyphs mark the sidewalks in front of your Starbucks with spray paint, because authentic black history matter. We don't do religion all that often, but when we do, we pray to a God who looks a whole lot like myself, who looks like Rakia, who looks like Avid, who looks like Raphael. And every aspect of our futures matters, because we find liberation even in theology, because we know that the sacred can even exist in secular places like Freddy's Hood, because we got that black God aesthetic. We are the down low street pastors who don't need a Bible to preach, because our lived experiences are just as worthy of affirmation as any. When we chant hands up, don't shoot, we don't only put our hands up as a gesture of our innocence, but we carry our power fists with our right hand, because we, the children raised by single black mothers, black grandmas, and aunties, were raised to march with our backs straight, because we know that this country was built on our ancestors' spines. We were taught to be black and proud before we were made victim, because black dignity matters. We teach ourselves and our allies that you do not need to understand in order to embrace. So when you ask, did you love Freddie Gray, we are not asking, did you understand him or his struggle? When we say that you can march with our fluid black bodies, our fluid black sexuality, our fluid black gender, our fluid black rage, our fluid black religion, and our fluid black love, we are not looking for questions. We are looking for you to embrace our identities without criticism. We are only demanding that you not be the murderer who adds to the list of black people dying every 48 hours. We are only demanding that you not diminish our struggles. We are only demanding that you do not critique our ways of survival. We are only demanding that you not distract from our movement by inserting yourselves in your privileged positions. We are only demanding that you do not make us victims of your white guilt. We are only demanding demanding that you stand by Black organizations and Black institutions and do as they say. We are only demanding that you stop ignoring our voices, the voices that carry the solutions to those Black struggles that you are so desperately trying to solve for. We are only demanding that when you say Black Lives Matter, you mean it. Yeah.